So Mark, it resonates with you. How many kids have you raised now?
I have 16 children. No, I'm kidding. I have three
Living.
young, healthy.
Oh God,
What do you say?
Nothing.
nothing.
Uh,
Me that you
well,
know of.
relatively well-adjusted children. We love them dearly, and we think we've done a pretty good job. But I think a lot of our strategy was not to follow the herd. The herd definitely dictates what you should be doing, and there's a lot of judgment in the pre-K kindergarten arena of parents, and it's really an interesting experiment to sit back and watch how they interact with one another when it comes to the judgment of who's a good parent and the insecurity of the parents. Didn't know
So,
that was coming, huh?
so Dr. Rettew, what about that? I mean, does the book? I mean, the ultimate goal of the book, I assume, is to empower parents so that they feel that they're doing something with their kid that's productive.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mark's point. I think in some ways parenting has become a competitive sport, and there is a lot of judgment, and unfortunately, the magnitude of someone's opinions doesn't always match up with the depth of their knowledge, and so people can read book A and they're absolutely certain that they're supposed to do that, and then they read book B and they're told they should do something exactly the opposite, and and we live in a world of sound bites too. So people want sort of the answer, and they want it quick, and they want to be able to summarize it in 10 seconds. And I think one of the main points of that book is when we're talking about things like parenting, when we're talking about things like a developing human brain, it just doesn't always work out that way, and you have to spend a little more time and be a little more flexible than kind of these rigid rules.
So, one of the things that we thought about, there are so many books about parenting. What sets your book apart from the others?
Well, I don't want to knock all the parenting books. Some are really excellent, but a lot of them are really written like a legal argument. It starts from the place of there's something wrong with kids these days. I've got the answer. I'm going to tell you the answer because it kind of worked out for my kids. And I'm going to sort of lead the reader to some foregone conclusion. And I'm going to convert you to my way of thinking. And, that may work, in terms of our sort of legal world, but I'm not sure that works the best in our parenting world. And so what I try to do instead is really lay out the case, and give people options and try, and I know I can't be completely objective, but as objective as I can, try to state the case, try to summarize the data in a non-jargony way, and then assume that our parents are capable adults who want good information and are capable of making good decisions. And plus, they are, as we talked before the show a little bit, Dr. Joe, they are the experts for their kids. And so it's better that they should use their judgment based on their expert knowledge rather than apply dogmatically, somebody on the internet who thinks this certain thing because it worked out fine for their own kids.
And I think that that's such an important thing for parents to hear, that they're the expert. People like us, Dr. Rettew and I, we're just the professionals. But the most important person is the kid. And as you follow the lead of your kid, I think you'll bring out these other things. I mean, because what are the basic things that we want our children to do? We want them to feel valuable, to be able to value other people, to be respectful, to recognize who they are, but not necessarily have to compete with everybody around them. Not an easy task these days.
No, it isn't. And there is a lot of judgment. I mean, if there are people who feel like, well, you left your 8-year-old alone in a house, or let them walk to school, how could you be so neglectful? Or And so there is a lot, and sometimes there's actually sort of legal consequences to some of these things too. So it's out there, and I want to try to empower parents with this book um, to challenge them to understand the science, to use the science. Not that that should be the only basis on which you make a parenting decision, but I feel like it should be at the table. But
Mhm.
then to sort of be your own little scientist with your own child and to say, I'm going to try an approach based on what I know and what the science says. I'm really going to take a look to see whether this works. Uh, I'm going to be willing to be flexible if it's not working, and I might need to make some tweaks or adjustments. Because in a lot of these areas, the science is not hugely definitive. In some places it is, but I'll give you an example: picky eating, which is a problem a lot of parents struggle with. Again, there's all of these theories out there. You should get old school on the kid and make them sit there at the table for an hour, make them eat their potatoes. You should cut up the sandwiches in cute little shapes so they'll like it. You should be like a Russian spy, sneak some vegetables in their smoothie. You should make them, prepare that. There's a million different things out there. Um, and, there, a lot of them are worth trying. I'm not saying don't try them, but there actually isn't great evidence that you've got to do something and that one solution sort of universally applies to everyone. Some kids, you don't want to be using a lot of bribes and threats. But for some kids, and some kids, especially who have maybe on the autistic spectrum disorder, you're gonna need some encouragement. You're gonna need some incentives sometimes. Some of those kids have very small food repertoires, and to the point where sometimes that can cause some medical complications.
Mm. Well, what is your take on the sort of evolutionary significance of picky eating? I mean, why would that still be preserved in our species?
Well, people have tried to guess, and probably nobody knows. I think maybe some of it came from a time when we were foraging around, and there were a lot of really dangerous things to eat. And so, for a child to not just pick some shiny berry off a bush,
Hmm.
that probably was a good thing. And so, for kids to show some skepticism for new foods, that may have had some evolutionary um, advantage at some point. And now, everything comes in plastic,
Right.
and so maybe it's lost some of that.
Yeah. But again, I think to just think that if your kid is doing something that it's wrong is, I think, missing the point.
Stretch the canvas.